All right, where's the fish peeps at? Biggs is in the house. You guys are probably wondering why I look more like an idiot today than I normally look like. Well, today we're wearing my pirate hat. I'll tell you in a minute why I'm wearing my pirate hat. We're going to have some fun with it. So we got some people in the house. Nice to see you made it, Russ. Are you still at home or you at work still? All right, well, nice to see you. James is in the house. Kyle's got to go play with his band. I don't even know what that means. Manga's here. It's one of my new peeps. Thanks, buddy. All right, guys. So thank you very much to everyone for coming out. Okay. Today we're going to have some fun. Hopefully you enjoy hanging out with me today. I got my notes. I'm reading my notes here just to make sure I don't forget anybody or anything. Well, today's, I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but today up here in Manitoba, it's gross. It's cold. It's rainy. Our pig hasn't had her babies yet, so we're constantly every hour going outside checking on her and stuff. It's not fun. But because it's cold, gray, gloomy, it's like being on the high seas. So I'm wearing my pirate hat today. And today's drink of choice is going to be my dirty pirate drink. I don't know if you guys have ever had a dirty pirate drink, but anybody that's ever been here before has always had dirty pirate drinks before. So we use nice dark rum, dark spiced rum, just a splash. Just a splash, and then you mix it with mango drink, and it gives a horrible, horrible color. It doesn't look appealing in any way, and that's what makes it what I call the dirty pirate drink, and I think it's just wonderful. So we're gonna have a dirty pirate today. Maybe we'll have two. We don't even know, but got our dirty pirate drink, and we're good to go. All right, even kids got some lights on in the tanks. You can see I haven't done anything with these plants yet. They're still sitting there, but I've been busy on a couple of projects. You guys remember that big vivarium that was up there and I kept promising that's going to happen? Well, me and my daughter, Riley, she finally got involved. She got involved with me, and we went to town on that thing. It is looking absolutely super cool, so I'm very, very excited about that. And it's going to be a whole build video. The plants haven't arrived yet. The plants are arriving. They're supposed to arrive this week, which I was terrified about because I wasn't ready for them. There was a lot of plants coming in that we were all sharing. And I thought, what are we going to do with all these plants? And then he says, it's too cold here, so we're going to leave it for another week. I'm like, yes, it's exactly what we need to do. Today, I'm also showing my support for my very good friends at Find Your Nemo. That's find, and then yournemo.com. They are some amazing people. I want to do a video with them down the road. It's just, honestly, the internet has been the challenge for me, as you guys know, with the live feeds. There's been some buffering and stuff like that. But the guys there, I want to do an interview with them. As soon as I can get the internet solved, we're going to be doing one. But I did put the link to the webpage in the description of this video today, and I just hope you guys will check them out. I know most people think they just sell shirts and they make funny shirts and different stuff like that, but there's some good artists in that group, and they do some amazing stuff. And a lot of the proceeds actually go and they divert it to different organizations and different things and stuff like that. So this is a group that truly, truly gives back, and they really, really deserve our support, which is really the reason I really want to do a video with them. And it's going to happen. We were supposed to do it. Me and Jared were supposed to do it when we were together at OCA. And I was just running all over the place, running ragged. It never really happened. So, but Jared knows, we've talked, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. As soon as Biggs get the stuff sorted out, we're doing it. All right. What else we got to do? That's all good. Oh, internet. We were talking about the internet. Today, we're running a test today. Now, guys, you guys have known the challenges before when we've talked about the internet and what the challenges that I face with the internet out here is I was speaking with a guy that I'm doing a collaboration with, Palmer Aquatics in Minnesota, and he released a video about a certain group of fish. And go and check him out, Palmer Aquatics. Great guy. His name's Chris Wether. And he totally shouted me out and everything like that. Told everybody about this video. Biggs is going to be involved in the next part. And I've done that part. But I can't upload it to the cloud. It takes all day. It hasn't done anything. It's been going all day. It's like a 7-minute video. Haven't been able to upload it. So Biggs is not technologically inclined. So he's going to call on help of his daughter, and maybe Chris down there will help me out, figure a way to get it to him. But that's coming for you, buddy. It's coming. So what the test is on the internet is I actually phoned my service provider, and I only have 2 options. It's going to, you guys all in the States that live in, anybody lives in a city or anybody who lives in the States, even in the country, are going to laugh at this. Because Jay Wilson, the guy that follows us, I was talking to him about it, talking about the challenges of it. And yeah, I think Austin knows, technologically challenged. Oh, he knows it all right. But I was talking with Jay, and my download speed, like for me to download things like Netflix or emails and all that sort of stuff, is 9. I don't know 9 what. I just know it's only 9. His is like 800. And then my upload speed, oh no, sorry, his is 1,000. And then my upload speed is 2. And his is like 800 or something like that. I'm like, where do you live? Like in NASA? You like right on mission control? Well, I live out in the woods, and that's one of the casualties of living out in the woods is you get slow internet sometimes. So that's what we got to deal with. But the test today is I phoned the company and I got 2 options. For $10 a month. It was like a sham. Like for $10 a month, you can do this. And what they can give me is they can give me an extra 3 in the download and an extra 2 or 3 in the upload. I know it sounds incredible, doesn't it? But 2 or 3, like whatever. So today we're going from 2 to I think 3.5 or 4. That's what I've got. We've done the ping test or whatever. We've done the speed check, and we're running true as to what we want. So what I need from you guys is anytime during this feed, anywhere you are in the world, I need you to tell me if you're having any issues whatsoever in regards to buffering and stuff. Because Biggs, he doesn't pay attention. He's staring at this monitor, just looking at this gorgeous specimen. He has no idea what's going on. He's even totally ignoring all the comments and all the amazing people that are here for him. So that's the test for today. If that works out, we also got the test I'm going to be doing more than likely. I believe I'm going live with the great guys, Josh and Big Rich over at OFR, the Ohio Fish Rescue, dear friends of all of ours. And I'm supposed to be doing that on Friday with them. So if this works out, we're also going to be testing it on the other side on Friday as well. Then Biggs will do the $10 more a month because he's not a total hobo peasant. We'll do $10 a month, and we'll get some better internet. That's step 1. However, if it doesn't work out, then I don't know what we're going to do. It'll work out great when I'm on the road and I'm staying in a hotel or I'm at my in-laws or something like that, which is theoretically once everything returns to normal, about 2 weeks a month. But on the alternate ones when I'm home, I'm not sure what to do because the price for it to jump to get to the internet level upload that I would need is more than double, as I mentioned in the last live feed. And I just don't think we can stomach that because there's no other reason to it. Unless you guys just start throwing insane amounts of money at me, then we can talk. All right. What else we got? Well, okay. In other news, and this was not intended in any way to be the horrible segue that it is, but I've had a few people ask about a Patreon account, and I had no idea what a Patreon account was. So I had to look it up, and I had to speak to people that had a Patreon account, and Biggs was trying to figure out what a Patreon account, and I figured that part out. It's like, okay, I get that. It's signed up. I've got a membership. I'm good to go. The only reason I haven't released it is I really want to come up with something, my version. I have to have things that I can consider value add, things like that are different and unique, and Biggs's way of being the things that are the value adds for the different levels of Patreon, should it come to that. I don't know. Not like I got a rescue, but we do have farm animals, and we got all sorts of things that we do, and as I said, Luna's piglets are not here. So if by chance my wife comes and screams down the stairs tonight at any point in time, it's either a fire, which I doubt because it's raining, or it's Luna's having her baby, and then the live feed will be cut short. But I don't think. We all said Wednesday, and that was last week, and now today's Wednesday, and nothing's happened yet. So whatever, we'll just got to roll with it, see what happens. So the Patreon thing is coming. It's just me and my wife. I just got to be creative and come up with something silly stuff, and things that you guys will think is funny. Or at least I'll think it's funny. Then that's good enough. And the other thing that's coming is the shirts and the merch and all that sort of stuff. I have my peeps working on it. I have the thing all set up. And then when I went in there, holy crap, do they have tons and tons of stuff in that thing? I was like, whoa! I just thought like a shirt. I didn't know you could like buy everything. Oh, would you like a phone case? Who the hell would want a phone case in the Biggs? I don't know. Maybe the missus? Christmas? One-stop shopping, you never know. But whatever. So that's going to be coming. But I have my peeps working on it. And by peeps, I mean my amazing, technically inclined daughter, Zoe, because she knows Dad can't do this on his own. He just has no choice in hell of handling that on his own. So we'll throw that sheet away. That one's done. And so that's coming. Both of those will be out there soon. I'll let you guys know. Or they just might appear. I don't know how it all works. Now, today's topic, before we jump all into that sort of thing, that is a huge nest egg. I just thought it was something kind of fun to do, something fun to kind of address and go over to get started. And really, honestly, if any of you guys follow the Canadian show, that's right, it's Canadian, and it's an amazing show. It's called Letterkenny. Well, they use a term in there called super soft. And that's basically what today's live feed on hybrids and hybrid theory and the history and ethics and how they affect the marketplace. Today is going to be a super soft intro to that. I'm going to entertain more questions and stuff like that. We're just going to kind of keep it light and have some more fun with it, because what's going to happen is I have literally an inch and a half thick of paper of stuff that I've made different notes on topics with the historical aspects of aquaculture and everything. And a lot of it is dry and drivel and boring, and nobody wants that exciting stuff. But I'm going to be doing a video for my series, Into the Mind of Madness. One of my rant series that I get a lot of people say they like that. That's one of their favorite playlists. And I thought this would be an absolutely perfect topic for that. So that's what's really going to be happening. I also have to really shout out to a very dear friend of mine, the lovely lady, Miss Sandy Moore. She's the president at Segrist Farms in Gibbston, Florida. I sure hope I said, is it Gibbston, Sandy? I might be wrong. It's in Florida. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows where it is. It's in Florida, and it's an amazing, amazing place, and they do amazing, amazing work. And I hope you guys are following them. Her and Shelby do a lot of different live feeds. They showcase different fish and everything like that. But they just did this one week, and they just finally, some of them got back to work. So awesome. That's happening in the States. Everyone's starting to go back to work. Biggs is going to be starting to go back to work. They're trying to figure out all the different protocols of how an outside sales rep can start going into stores. Apparently, we're not supposed to look like we're going into the delivery room to give birth to a child. You know, we're not supposed to have gauntlets and big masks. We're supposed to be just look normal and stuff. So they're trying to figure all that out, but I know it's coming. And hopefully everybody else, so you guys are all keeping safe, and you guys are getting out and starting to try and find some sort of a new pattern. But I have to thank Sandy Moore, because I reached out to Sandy, and I know that she just got back to work. You're talking an insanely busy woman. She's known the world over for what she does, for her work that she does, for the amount of organizations she's involved with that are all about the conservation of fishes, protecting habitats, ethical collecting. She's involved with so many different things at the global level that honestly most of us could not even comprehend. She's an amazing, amazing woman and a very, very dear friend. But I reached out today thinking, I told her, I says, I'm doing a little video on hybrids, and I gave her kind of the title ideas and stuff. I says, I'd love it if you had any points you wanted to make. And she jumped right on that. She sent me like 2 pages of emails and stuff like that. So I got some gold. We're going to dabble into some of that stuff. But I'm saving most of those gold nuggets for the video down the road. But I had to make sure I had to thank Sandy for that. So how we doing, peeps? Everybody doing good? Look at that, 13 minutes. Biggs hasn't talked about anything. All right, any questions that I'm missing out on here? I'm at home. This is Fish Hub. Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Austin. I don't know if Brandon's in the room yet, but without you guys, this would always be very much of a challenge. These are some absolutely legendary people that help out myself as well as numerous other people with the moderating and stuff like that. And she's promoting Jay Wilson, which is coming up right after me. He's a very dear friend. Me and Jay are actually planning a bunch of stuff together right now. We don't know when we're going to reveal it, but we're having a lot of fun in the background, at least playing and coming up with ideas. I'm up in northern Canada, and he's way down in Texas. So we're even remotely near each other. So we're going to have some fun with it. And the insanity that rolls around in his brain and the madness that rolls around in mine, it's going to be something super fun. That's all we're telling you right now. Ross, you got to go check it out. Find Your Nemo. The link's there. www.findyourenemo. They got all sorts of cool stuff. I have this as a shirt. I have it as a sweatshirt. They got Fish Club on some. They have all sorts of stuff. They also have a Facebook page called Fish Club. And it's a great Facebook page that I share a lot of different videos and stuff on. So they're really, really great, great people. I think a cell phone internet is 7 in the UK. Austin, you're just drinking it all in. Just love it, Austin. Don't complain. You love it. There we go, guys. Yes. Oh, thank you, Sandy. That's wonderful. Or no, sorry, not Sandy. Candy. My apologies. All right. So today is the topic today. I had some notes. I had some notes that I started writing all out, and I don't know where they are. It's a good chance that they're not even here. They might be upstairs. I don't even know. Let's see if we can find them here. Here they are right here. And we'll print them off, so it'll be a quick and easy. But if we're going to be talking about hybrid fish, this is a topic that is a bit more of a challenge for some people because it's an extremely emotional topic. It's a topic that is fraught with a lot more misinformation than probably any other topic pertaining to tropical fish. A lot of people think they know about this. A lot of people think they know about that. It doesn't really matter. This is not intended in any way, shape, or form to be saying yes or no. It was more as kind of a way to give some people some insight to how the industry works, to how the different cultures that keep tropical fish work. Yeah, like loco. Is it loco? Loso 9, flower horns, Flower horns are a very, very big, important part of that. Blood parrots and stuff like that. And we can talk a little bit about ethics, but the problem being with ethics in North America, USA, and Canada, the ethics are viewed differently pertaining to things like this. You look at it in Europe, and they're even different still. And then you go to places like China or Japan, and they're completely different still. So it doesn't really matter where you are in the world. They may be different, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're right or wrong. We're all entitled to our own opinions about it. Why are you not printing? See, here's where my legendary tech skills come into play, right? You guys are seeing this. You're seeing it firsthand. We're going to do it single-sided, black and white, and we're going to print it off. It's going to come up below my feet, guys. Look at that. It's like a laser. How many notes did you write? Crazy. All right. As we said, it's a very hot topic. One trifle with all sorts of different things. We're going to get rid of this one. This one's gone. We don't need this one. It's going to go over here. There we go. But we're going to have some fun. Hopefully it's a bit educational. I just think it's something that's really worth doing. It's worth having that discussion. It's a pretty sensitive topic for some. But let's try and get a brief introduction to hybrids, okay? Now, what I mean by hybrids is not just taking this fish and this fish, two different species, and mixing them together. So I know, Ross, you commented on earlier when you looked at the thumbnail that I had presented, it had a bubble-eye goldfish, and that is not a hybrid. You are 100% correct. But to understand the whole theory of hybridization in tropical fish, it doesn't pertain strictly just to hybrids. It dates back to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago when people started first keeping fish for aquaculture. Okay. Now, if we look at some of the earlier notes and stuff like that I printed off, like we're talking, this is in early man has been on the planet for about 200,000 years now. In that time span, we got to go back. The early hominids obviously didn't raise any tropical fish. At least I don't think they do, because in all the fossil finds, they've never found any square glass boxes or, little square urns or whatever. They've never found any of that sort of stuff. Biggs is kidding, and obviously it's kidding, but there've never been any fossil records that they were actually doing anything with fish or aquaculture at those times. We got to go forward. It's probably about 1,000 years before Christian times that the Asians in China were actually raising carp. And they were raising carp in a form of aquaculture for food. And the offset of that, when you're raising them for food, is that when you enclose a captive population and you're not introducing new genetic material to it, that can either really rapidly decline generation after generation if you're breeding back, or you can also then have a aberrant, or what's the words I'm thinking of? Things that change, the fish will produce morphs. The fish will produce. Biggs is losing his mind. He's forgetting the one word. It's on the tip of his tongue. You guys can help me out if you go. We'll treat it like I'm a child and just tell me, "Hey, Biggs, this is the word you're thinking of," and you just type it out there. But we're talking about where those mutations, thank you, exactly. They'll throw mutations. And mutations are often in the form of colors, okay? And the colors are the ones that started it out. Like when we look at mutations today, we have exaggerated fins, we have exaggerated head structures, we have actual exaggerated morphological structures and bony structures and stuff as well. I don't know if any of you here have ever dissected what they call a blood parrot or any of those parrot cichlids, which drives me crazy because the true parrot cichlid, the papagaio, which is a Portuguese name, papagaio is a Portuguese word meaning parrot, and that refers to the absolute stunning species from South America, Hipparchus psittacus, which is near and dear to me. But I don't know who gave them the name parrot cichlids, but whatever, that's what they are. But if you've ever dissected one, inside, everything's weird. It's all messed up. And the fact that they've actually been able to breed them and develop them and maintain them and keep them true is kind of an anomaly. It's not a natural looking fish. But that is a man-made mutation. That is actually bred by 2 distinct species or 3 distinct species. Honestly, I do not know the specific history about that individual fish because it's not a fish that really fascinates me or interests me directly. I like the topic behind it, and I like the aspects behind it. Same with the flower horns. I've never personally kept them. Do I appreciate them? I think they're beautiful fish. I think they have some, they're known for their amazing personalities. And we're going to get into a little bit about the marketplace idea of how important some of these different fish, good or bad, whether you like them or not, how important these things are in the marketplace today. Now, in the notes that I had with Sandy, the notes that Sandy shared with me, I'm going to read some of her notes for you guys because they were very, very spot on from somebody on the industry side that really sees it on a global scale. And she says, the hobby thrives on variety. It's all what's new, what's hot. What can I get my neighbors that my neighbors do not have? You got to keep up with the Joneses. I want all the bragging rights. How many times do you guys see it? People saying, "Well, I want stuff that's rare." Nothing's really rare. It's just we don't know how to find it, or it lives in a small niche, or it's an isolated species, or it's a species that doesn't come together except for during breeding. It doesn't sit there in a giant shoal in the middle of the river. Doesn't mean it's actually rare. That's a word that we've coined and added to it. I could tell you that this plant is rare, and if you're a newer hobbyist, I could sell it to you for $60 just by saying it's rare. That's what people are doing. It's crazy, but that's all marketing, and that's what 99% of this whole industry has become. And you can't blame the producers. You can't blame the breeders. It is what it is. We, every single one of us here in this chat, are all people that are driving that commerce. So fish keepers by our nature are collectors of things that we find fascinating. Very true. And it's very true as what she points out here is orchids, which we'll talk about in a bit. Isopods, which you guys know I'm very, very well with. Poison arrow frogs, bats, air plants. Our fascination with living things is almost limitless. And we collect other things as well. Fossils, trains, stamps, books, aquarium memorabilia. It doesn't really matter. Everyone keeps what they keep. You might have a bottle collection. You might like gemstones. You might like whatever it is. But you often find that, I bet you 90% of the people that are here that may keep fish. I know my brother here, Total Tropicals, Jason, thank you for stopping by. He's big into birds. And that's just wrong. That's wrong on so many levels, but that's not the topic of today. We're not talking about birds, right? But hybrids are not something that is 100% man-made. Hybrids occur in nature readily. Nature finds ways and means of always giving life a method of flourishing. Is that the best way of saying it? That drives it home, makes it nice and easy. And we don't think of life as this deer, this houseplant, this tree, this fish. Think of life on the cellular level. Life will always find a way. Now, we have populated the planet to the point that the resources are getting completely strained. And maybe COVID-19, even though we're not supposed to talk about it, maybe that's something that is literally nature's way of saying, whoa, it's like an Etch-a-Sketch. It says, let's shake this up a little bit. You guys keep messing with everything, and I'll give you something to play with. We've had these different types of things that affected the living cycle of the world as a whole. Man, this is probably the first one that has ever affected us on a global scale. When the Black Plagues hit Europe, when Ebola hits Africa, Zika virus, and some of these other ones, they don't necessarily affect the global thing. But the world is so connected now that everything it transfers very, very quickly all over. And this is just one of many that's going to happen. And there's going to be more and more and more. The longer we're here, the more and more and more, unless we as humanity starts looking at things differently and saying, hey guys, we got to figure some out. But the problem, reality is, and I know I'm going way off topic, is it's all about money. We have no control as individuals. We don't have any control over anything other than ourselves. So I'm out with my daughter this past weekend, and we were collecting stuff. We were thinking of doing a video idea, and we created a list of a treasure hunt to find in nature. She had to find a stick longer than her hand. She had to find 3 bugs. She had to find 5 different types of leaves. But one of those things we put on that list was find anything that doesn't belong in nature, and what can you do with it to safely use it, and meant by like recyclables or trash. And those were things that she picked on right away. She knew they didn't belong there, and she's 3, and she was exceptional with that. So those are all things that we got to talk about. Now, I know I'm totally off topic. Big's going to try and get back on track. Pro Novi. Okay, yeah, we're not going to be able to talk on every individual fish and stuff. But orchids, no, sorry, let's get back to it. When we talk about hybrids in nature, and I was talking about how hybrids actually, nature does it in a way. If man goes and manipulates something, like some of the things that have happened in South America with all these new dams, they're talking about certain species will be wiped out. That's very, very well possible. It's very, very educated to say that some of these things will be wiped out. That's smart, and that's true. However, nature does find a way. And if nature selects that organism to continue on its genetic material, it'll create that fish to hybridize with something else. It does give it that potential to do that. Now, I'm not saying that all of a sudden the zebra pleco's going to jump out of the water and mate with a macaw, and all of a sudden there's going to be a new hybrid something or other in between the two. Nature finds a way, but in our timeline, nature finds a way very, very slowly. It's just when we influence things very, very fast, all of a sudden things get sped up and mutations happen quicker. Does that make sense? Hopefully, okay? But look at all this stuff that's out there. I'm not talking hybrids, just strictly hybrid fish. I'm talking about how man is manipulating things. When we were talking earlier about China and how they were manipulating using koi, and they were manipulating the koi, and they were starting to get these different mutations, aberrations. Well, that started there. But once Japan kind of took a hold of that, all of a sudden you had these different emperors were saying, well, I want that one there. It's got a red spot on it. All the other ones are gray, green. And that's what started, really. That's where koi was really born, was from that carp. And then you go over to China, and China's even been more the master of working with things, because you look at all the fascinating goldfish varieties that are available today. Like some of them, like I put the bubble-eye goldfish. That is probably the most extreme example. That fish is crazy to me. I don't know how that fish even survives, like getting around with that giant bulbous bag hanging off its face, and whatever. To each his own. But I find a tank full of large red cap arandas, lionhead arandas, ryukins, any of those type of things. And I don't know all the different names, but you got nice big softball, baseball size, fancy goldfish in a nice big display tank. It is breathtaking. I don't think there's anybody, hybrids or not, or man-made or line bred or whatever. If you're a purist, and I generally think that I am, I tend to prefer fish in their natural state. But when I see a fish like that, they are absolutely stunning, stunning fish, and I appreciate them. And I appreciate what they do in the hobby in regards to gaining interest or in market. Because honestly, if they'd left it where it was just the individual koi, that was just the gray-green fish, I doubt there would be 5 people in North America that would ever have a pond of them. We all say that, I'd love them if they were natural. And I find that very, very hard to believe. Maybe Biggs is totally wrong. It could very well be true. But look at all the stuff that's come out in our timelines, and everything's sped up. Now, probably older than most of us that are here, what people don't think about is discus, angelfish, guppies, swordtails, live bears, all those real bread and butter common fish that have been in the trade forever. Every single one of them is a hybrid. They've all been manipulated, like and down the road and changed back. You've taken angelfish from many different things and bred them back and developed all these different things. Discus is a couple of different species. They've been all bred back and forth and stuff like that. Some have been line bred for colors. It's not something I'm just trying to get into an argument with anybody. It's just these things have all been manipulated for a long, long period of time. And when it comes to judging, say, an American Cichlid Association show, angelfish and discus, they have their own classes and they have different rules. They always say, you want to judge that? I'm like, I can't judge. I don't know how to judge that. That's like, I know right now it's a hot topic with the American Cichlid Association when they talk about things like flower horns. And they say, oh, should we let flower horns in or should we not let flower horns in? And I'm like, I think you're an absolute fool if you do not allow flower horns in your show, because all it takes is just go and look at a flower horn Facebook page, any of them, any of the millions of them, and go look at an American Cichlid Association page. And this is not bashing the organization. This is a wonderful organization I've been involved with for many, many years, and it's a thriving organization. It's got scientists and hobbyists worldwide. It's well known for what it does, and it contributes back huge amounts. But you go and type on that page, and you might have 100,000 followers. You go to the flower horn page, it might be 1 million. You know what I mean? Like they're very popular fish for a reason, guys. We should get involved with this. However, if you're going to have criteria for judging everything based on its natural holotype for that show, you can't do that for flower horns, right? You just can't, because there is no natural one. And they've developed all these different lines and strains, but you bring in a judge from that culture or world, or the flower horn people don't know who to call. You get him in there or her in there, and you go to town with that. But that's just one example. I remember even when I was working in the stores in the 80s, we were seeing stuff, and these are not necessarily hybrids again, but remember the painted glass fish, the tattooed fish? Those in North America are, they're shunned and shamed and everything like that. But those are fish that have, in my opinion, and the opinion of probably many of you, have been tortured. And I agree wholeheartedly that they, in my opinion, I can't speak for anybody else, but in my opinion, they have no place in the North American trade, in my opinion. That's all that is. And that's all. I'll just leave that at that, because of the ethics of what has happened to that animal. Now, when we talk about other things, other man-made things, like the parrotfish, that's one example. There's a red Texas. There might be other forms and colors of Texas cichlids and whatnot, and jaguar cichlids and whatnot. And all these things are things that are all made. As long as they're not tortured in any way or hurt in any way, I don't see the negative aspects of them the way that a lot of people that are purists do. And now what's probably the most common one today, the one that has probably the hottest topic today that people talk about, is the glowfish. This is a fish that never existed. This is a fish that we have to accept. Bill Shields in Florida wrote an amazing article in Amazonas magazine about them. And I sat down with Sandy Moore while we drove somewhere. We had about an hour's drive. I don't remember where we were going. And I actually did an interview with her while we were driving the whole time. And we just talked, a candid chat about it, stuff like that. Again, a bunch of notes down. And I will be putting together a nice big video on glowfish from my angle and stuff. But the article, if you guys can find that article by Bill Shields, it is wonderful. But you're talking a fish that was completely engineered in a university lab in Singapore in the early 2000s for a very, very specific purpose. And it was not the pet trade whatsoever. This fish was developed entirely for the treatment or the testing of pollution in waterways. I don't exactly know what the purpose of the phosphorescent or the jellyfish genes added into that engineered fish. I don't understand the purposes exactly as how that gave them information back about the testing for pollution. I honestly don't know that. And that's something I will get the information for when we go and produce that video on glowfish. And I'm sure my dear friend Sandy Moore will be able to fill me in on that. But this fish, the implications of this thing in the pet trade is massive. And honestly, and I can't speak for anybody else that's in the industry because I'm not in the industry on the side of selling retail fish. In Canada, this fish was illegal for a long, long time because it was a genetically modified organism. It was something that didn't actually exist. So, and Canada has always been against that sort of stuff. So now in Canada, we're allowed to have 3 colors of the 5. I don't understand that, but each one, because it's a genetically modified organism, the red, the green, the yellow, the blue, and the orange each one has its own patent, each one has its own information, each one has its own ID number, whatever you want to call it. So you can only get certain things, and each one has to apply for its permit to get into Canada individually. But now we can get Danios and what else? The white skirt tetra in 3 colors each, and that's it. But in the States, you got 5 and 5. You got angelfish. Maybe you don't have angelfish. I know you just released a beta. That's available. And you have tiger barbs, and they're like, wow. Tiger barbs are wow and different stuff. They got red not roseline shark, rainbow sharks and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of crazy stuff. But teach his own. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. Just stop complaining and badgering the people that do like it. Let them like what they want. Bottom line is, and I know Jay's here. Jay would agree with me wholeheartedly on this. Anybody that's ever spent any time in the industry will agree wholeheartedly on this without any personal feelings on it whatsoever. You will all agree with me 100% that if that tank, for any reason, is the one thing that drives somebody new into the hobby that never had any intentions and never would have had, just by a chance encounter, saw a tank with these things and now they want a fish tank, that is an absolute win in my books. Absolute win. Do you agree, Jay? Am I right in that? Well, I do agree with you there, Riley. I agree with that too. Riley pointed out, he says, the problem with the glowfish, completely aside from their scientific origin, is that they are marketed specifically to children, just like a toy. Living organisms are not toy. Now, I agree with that to a certain point. I can use only the example of that I have up here, my big wholesaler here. We only have the 3 and the 3 so far. And I would say, yeah, there's a percentage of them that go to families for their first tank with kids. But the volume that he moves out of that place of those things, they're not all for kids. Not at all. But honestly, that is also not at the responsibility of the child, because the child's not buying the tank. The child's not doing the maintenance of the tank. It's up to us. So if we are going to entertain that, because the child is not the one that's driving everything. My child said, Dad, I want to own an elephant. I'm going to say, no, we can't own an elephant. Dad, I want an elephant. If they keep asking, it's not going to change the fact that I can't own an elephant, because I live in northern Canada. I can't afford it. I can't feed it. It's an animal we can't buy. There's so many things about it. They're never going to own an elephant, right? So it's up to me. When a kid asks for a fish tank and I say no, 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 and all of a sudden, boom, I say, okay, we got a fish tank. I'm also accepting the responsibility that I'm going to be taking care of that fish tank. And maybe, if I'm a good parent, and this is not a shot at you, Riley, at all, I'm just talking in general. If I'm a good parent with this, I'm going to try and train and teach, use those as teaching moments to train that kid on how important this living creature is, and how important taking care of its tank and its water and its food and all those things all are very, very important. And if one should perish, we also take that as a serious teaching moment as well as to why. And maybe it died of natural causes. I'm not arguing that, but if it happens, it happens. But everything is a teaching moment. So I don't know if you agree with me or not. And I do agree with you on that, Riley, as well. Almost most of the equipment that is marketed for these things, but that's not a global thing. That is very much a North American thing. Most of the equipment, no, that's not fair. A lot of the equipment that is designed for the North American market. Jay, you're in the market. Jay is actually a representative for some very, very well thought of companies. I'm going to butcher the name. Is it CC? Extremely well-known company, I believe, out of Europe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. Sorry. But they make some very, very world-renowned products. And like a lot of products that are brought out of Europe. If you bought an Eheim filter made by Eheim 20 years ago, you would still have that filter running as if it was new. And you'd probably have that filter even when you passed away, that you put it in your will. Because in Europe, they look at things differently. And I'm on the pet industry side. And on the pet industry side, everything is manufactured in Europe. I'm going to use an example. I sell a nylon dog bone. Now, you guys in the States have all heard of the brand called Nylabone, right? Nylabone, and the brand that I sell is called Tasty Bone. Ours is made in the UK. Nylabone's made in the States. They're both made out of the exact same product. It's a nylon product that's spooled and then is melted down in the structure of that thing so nothing ever gets bitten off. It can never crack. They're both made exactly the same way. What it comes down to in the very, very end is that in Europe, there's no place for garbage. The population is higher than Canada in a little island of England. So they have no land for garbage. So everything has to have different structures the way everything is built. Everything has different regulations the way everything is built, so it doesn't end up in a landfill. But you type in Nylabone, and this is not a shot on Nylabone. They sell a lot of great products. But you type in Nylabone, I guarantee you one of the first 5 or 10 search things are going to pop up is, my dog doesn't eat it anymore, and they'll tell you how to reflavor it by just throwing in a pot of boiling soup. Well, in Europe, they're not allowed to do that. The flavoring for Nylabone is put on at the end. Tasty Bone, it's put on throughout the entire thing. So if your dog had that for 4 years and chewed it down to a nub, it still tastes the same as it came out of the package. That's because the ethics of them and the way that they have to deal with their population and their landfills and everything like that, they have to look at everything different. However, you're going to pay more for stuff like that over in Europe. And if it's brought over here, you're going to pay more for it. And North American market is driven entirely based on price. I live in a very, very price-conscious market where I live for my territory, for my job. A very, very price-conscious market. And most of North America is like that. You could buy the $600 filter, but if I've got a $300 one on Amazon that may leak in a year and it's got horrible reviews, but I save $200, I'll do that. Great. Go ahead. That ain't going to be me. And I know a lot of people say that I'm the same way. That might very well be true. That's not really the topic. Anybody have any idea where I left off? How much time we got? Oh, Jay's. We're just warming up for Jay. What are we talking about tonight, Jay? You can even tell us. You give us a tease. But we look at other things that have been coming down the road, not necessarily as hybrids, but designer clownfish in the saltwater side. They're starting now. Back in the day, I'm not a saltwater guy. I've had many people ask me about doing saltwater stuff, and I've never, ever done it. Saltwater to me, when I was an aquarist when I was working in the pet trade in the late 70s, 80s and stuff like that, when I was younger and I was watching, everything that was coming in for saltwater was all what I call just the rape of the wild. There was never any thought about captive breeding. There was nobody even attempts at captive breeding at that time. And then I was kind of out of the retail sector for a long time, being on the other side. And now when I go and do these trade shows, I see all this different stuff that's happening now. These designer clownfish. In Hawaii, they've bred, yellow tangs, blue tangs, mandarin goby, dragonets, all the different anthias types and stuff like that. I might be butchering some of the names because I'm not a saltwater guy. My apologies. But they're doing a lot of good work. And the minute that starts happening, once they start captive bruising stuff, we look at ways and means of how we can maximize and capitalize on that. And that's exactly what designer clownfish are. Some of them are absolutely stunning. And if you I just love the natural form, good for you. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but we can't knock the other ones for trying to create something, because just because you love orange and white is your favorite two colors together, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's his favorite two colors. Maybe this one likes a purple stripe on it, and I would be like, oh, if I could have a purple stripe, that would be amazing. Whatever. To each their own cup of tea. We all keep different fish. Keep what you want. But when we talk about not necessarily hybridization, but more man manipulation, some of the other things I have written down here, long-finned fish. You ever notice there's a trend? Like, I know there's long-finned white clouds. You put a group of long-finned white clouds into a planted tank, and they are stunning. Long-finned neon tetras, I've seen albino, cardinals, a lot of the stuff. Almost all these things originate out of Asia, almost every single time. And but like long-fin tiger barbs. Now, you guys know the tiger barb tank's over here. It's dark right now. I never bothered to turn on and change any timers or anything like that. This one's still on for some reason. The timer's probably broken, whatever. But the tiger barbs, people keep them, they keep them wrong, and they beat each other up. The nice thing about the tiger barbs, the long-fin, is they're docile. So you can keep 6 of them in a smaller tank, and they're not aggressive. They'll beat each other up. So that's kind of a win-win. You get the tiger barb, you get that color, slows them down. They're not as aggressive. I don't see the problem here. If you like them, do them. All these things, like somebody mentioned, was it Ross? You mentioned about balloon mollies and all that sort of stuff. Some of that stuff that looks those really distorted shapes in the monstrosities, that is never going to be my cup of tea. But again, to each his own, right? But what I don't understand is lemon Oscars, longfin Oscars, they don't get docile. They're just mean fish. And they're big fish, and they got teeth, and they got dental structures and muscles behind it and all that stuff to cause damage. I know. Let's make them long fin. The butterfly koi. Like, who doesn't love a butterfly koi? Koi are supposed to be appreciated from above. So in a tank, when you look at them head on or side on, they may not be as exact. They got all the flowing. But you see butterfly koi in a pond, it's a pretty stunning looking thing. But the newest one that I've seen, and I don't get it at all, is longfin, and this is just to bug all the Americans, because you guys can't have them. They're only for us. And the Asians, I don't want them, but we can get them if we want them. But we don't want them because they're just too many here. We're just tired of them. But we're talking about the Asian Arowana. Why would anybody want a longfin Asian Arowana? Want to know why? Because nobody else has one. If I've got one and you don't have one, it means I'm cooler. It means my fish is rarer. It means I'm better than you. That's the whole mentality, right? That's what everybody wants. I want something designer. I want something different. I don't want to be the same as everybody else. We've been doing it forever. White tigers, it's not natural. But look at it from the other side. And I don't remember who wrote the article, and I apologize, but it was an article in Amazonas, and it was something that it could have been written by me because it was exactly the same thought process that I had. It wasn't. It was a well-written article by somebody actually credible, not me. And it was an article about looking at, I don't remember if it was about hybrids or the topic specifically, but when we talk about hybrids, people love them or hate them. There doesn't seem to be any gray area. It's like your U.S. political system. Either you love or you hate. You're one way or the other. I don't think that way. But orchids are all CITES. Every orchid species is CITES. So to import orchids is challenging. It takes a lot of paperwork. It's expensive. A lot of the species do not transport well. They put extreme strain on the environments and the amount of damage that we could cause to that environment to retrieve said orchid. Those things, all these things come into play. So they've started hybridizing orchids. And this is really what's driven the entire popularity of orchids as a houseplant, is because they're all man-made. They're all hybridized. You get bigger flowers. If I wanted the moth orchid from the wild, I want just the regular one. It's going to be Phalaenopsis such and such. It might just be a small 2-inch moth-looking round flower. But you put that in hands of some really experienced horticulturists and stuff like that, and give it a few generations, they're making flowers that are, this size, and they're neon purple and pink and striped, and they're everything you can imagine under the sun. Now you take that across all the different families of orchids. Now you don't have the same wild pressures on any of these things. You don't have any of the pressures on the environments for the collecting, for the damage that they do. So for the orchids, this has been an absolute 100% slam dunk win, because now you can go into any grocery store and buy an orchid for $10, $20, and give it to your mom on Mother's Day or your girlfriend on Valentine's Day. And all of a sudden they fall in love with that plant. That's good for orchids. That's good for culture. That's good for everything. Start thinking about hybrids maybe the same way, or just look at these man-made fish maybe the same way, and maybe you'll have a different perception. Now, there are other fish that I do not agree with, and these are things that'll come as kind of freak mutations, things that are what in nature tried stopping the development of this fish. Is the way I look at it, and it meant for this animal to pass, and for some reason it didn't. And I talk about things like the Batman discus. No, I don't like discus as it is. They're just not my cup of tea. Unless I could have a nice wild-caught natural discus, then I think they're stunning. But discus, all these man-made forms, neon red, bright yellow, and crown royal purple, and all that stuff, like that's just not me thing at all. I'm not saying they're not stunning when I see them in a beautifully set up aquarium, but they're just not me. The one that even bothers me even more is the stingrays. Have you guys ever seen these bat rays, I think they call it? You're talking about an animal that it was not intended to live like that. And now they're taking these animals that don't even have a complete disc, and it basically forms like a bat kind of a shape. And they're taking these animals and they're capitalizing on it to try and breed that thing true. That's not my cup of tea. However, that's me influencing the culture of others by me saying, I can't say you can't have that. But if you go over to the Asian communities and the Asian cultures, they are working diligently behind the scenes. Fish breeders are working all over the place to try and come up with something new, something different to bring it to market. Because that one time that they do bring something new to the market, that's what they can make their million on and they can retire. Isn't that our dream? Isn't what everybody was? We all work for different things. We all do different things in life, but we all want to get to that point. We want to get that one thing that'll just solve it through, and then I can retire and I can enjoy life. Well, that's maybe what they're doing over there, and that's very much accepted in their culture because of all the koi, all the goldfish, the flower horns, the parrot cichlids, all that stuff originated over there. I'm not saying it's bad. It's teach his own. All the stuff. Painted glass fish, tattooed fish, everything. Is what it is. So you like it or you hate it. Now, did I miss anything? Sorry, I didn't really answer a lot of questions today, guys. I was just kind of ranting. Nice to see you, Haley. I hope you're doing well. I never give Candy a live stream. Like, I never even think about that stuff. I don't even know how to do that. Thank you, Mike. Father Fish, enjoyed your feed today, my friend. Nice to have you, man. Mason, that was great seeing you. My son was 4 years old when he got his first Dovai. Now he's 8 tight tanks. He knows how to change them. That's awesome. That is exactly what it is. Now, my daughter, you guys have seen her. You might not have seen her in the videos for the fish as much. You saw it on the Father's Day video. But my daughters have all been involved in one way or another. My oldest daughter has physical limitations, and she is an absolute amazing asset for her brain. She's helped me with numerous things over the years, and love her to death. And then my other 3 daughters have helped me in many ways all over the place, from helping with the fish. Paisley loves coming and feeding the fish. Her favorite thing is her isopods because she has her own isopods, and that is our regular Saturday morning routine. So you got to get the kids involved. Every one of us out here knows that. If the kids aren't involved, if we're not doing our own part, this hobby's in trouble. And we got to keep building it. We got to keep building it together. So was there any other topics specific? Because as I say, we're going to go into this in a much more detailed way in a video. But what are other hybrid things? You guys, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but there's a hybrid catfish. OFR, or Ohio Fish Rescue, has this catfish, and it is a hybrid between a tiger shovelnose and a red-tailed catfish. And it took on all the worst attributes of both species. It grows exceptionally fast. It's very aggressive towards all the other fish. But what is the purpose of that fish? Do you think that fish was intended to be made specifically for the aquarium trade? No way in hell. That's not what it was developed for. This fish was developed for the food market. And that food market is what drives a lot of these original hybrids is what's driven by the food market. I'm definitely not saying parrotfish and floodhorns or flower horns was developed for the food market. But you look at tilapia. I'm not a fish eater. I never have been really a fish eater. But if you enjoy fish, I bet most of you that enjoy fish are not saying, I wish I could get a farm-raised tilapia for dinner. It's fed basically garbage. And it's raised as quickly as I can, and it's a mutant after a mutant after a mutant, and it's done to do all those things to be able to get that thing as quickly as possible and to market for us. You know, like we're eating garbage. Why would we want to do that? But that's what they do. Like I was reading an article in the preparation for this with the birth of freshwater catfish farming in the 60s. This is going down in Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, where catfish is a very huge commodity for them. Their catfish farming in the 60s, it made a big splash. It is actually the #1 U.S. aquaculture industry is farming catfish. Now they're talking the channel cats and stuff like that. Now, to produce a channel cat, farmers typically place spawning cans in pods containing mature males and females. That's true. And then the female lays the eggs inside the can, and the male fertilizes the eggs. Okay, that's Minga 101. Pretty much all fish work that way unless they're a live bear. They may not need a can. They might need a mop, a plant, a rock, a pot, whatever. However, hybrid catfish like these guys are producing, these are a cross between 2 different species that do not mate naturally with each other. Hybrid fry production involves hormone-assisted reproduction. And you guys have seen in my talks that I've done and stuff like that, and I don't know if I've done any of the videos and stuff pertaining to the hormone induction, but there's all sorts of different hormones they use. And when I was at the co-op down in Florida, I went and actually to check to see if I could get a small bottle, and I wanted to see it. The one I know about is Ovaprim. And I'm like, you can buy it by the gallons down there. And I've been to the farms where I've seen some of these people that are doing the things, but they've bred a lot of stuff using hormone induction. If anything is migratory by nature that moves, clown loaches, a lot of the labio species of sharks, anything that needs that migratory pattern to be able to breed, I'm sorry, you're never going to breed that in your fish tank, ever. It's never going to be able to. If you had a massive fish tank, do you think you'd ever be able to breed salmon that come from saltwater into freshwater, breed and then die? No, you probably couldn't. And that's the same sort of theory behind some of these things that migrate. So using the thing of hormone induction is giving these guys a tool to be able to breed things. Now they're breeding all sorts of the roseline shark, all the different labio species, the rainbow shark, black ghost knives. There's all sorts of other fish that can do it. And I thought it would be done in a very, very clinical setting. It's not. It's very quick and dirty. It was shocking to see it the first time, but it works. And they give an injection of hormones to the female for inducer to produce roe, and that's what starts. Ray Lorenzo, thank you very much, my friend. You didn't even ask a question, so I'm honored. Thank you. And Mr. Wilson, thank you, my friend. What else we got? We got any questions? How do you send me money? I don't need any money. But there's the little thing at the bottom there. Well, Scent Candy helps you out there. I don't know what El Toro is, Ryan. I don't eat fish. However, I do spend a lot of time. I've gone to Florida. I used to go to Florida about 4 times a year, all the time. And I go to Florida back and forth. And I'd always have to go to like some of the farms I used to see all the time. They'd be close to the Keys. So we'd go there and we'd always go to fish restaurants. They'd always order fish. You're right there. You're getting like, what did you catch today? Let's eat Bob. Okay, we're going to eat Bob. Bob was one of these. It was delicious. But it's not my thing. But I have tried fish almost every single trip to try and find something that I like. And it's not that I dislike it. It's just not my thing. It just never really appealed to me. Everybody likes their different things. They like it. Whatever. Baby Yoda likes chicken nuggets. Where the hell's Baby Yoda getting chicken nuggets from? Nowhere. Yes, yeah, Father's Fish, right. The hybrid cat has a smaller, bonier head than the red tail, making it meatier. So they get more fish, more poundage of meat out of the fish, and a faster growth rate. Exactly. 5 minutes to Wilson. There's like 2 minutes to Wilson. He's going and doing his final pee. Anybody else got any last-minute questions? I really don't know if I addressed the topic that you guys intended. I had some fun. You can already see where it's going to go for the rant. I'm going to have some fun. I hope you guys had some fun tonight too. What are we going to do next week? I don't even know. Next week, I'd like to say that the vivarium's going to be in its place. It's going to be get ready to go. But yeah, I can't wait to show you guys this. This was so out of my element. It was one of the coolest things I've done in a long, long time. Using the foam and the cork and a bunch of different pieces of spiderwood and branches and everything like that. The whole thing is completely immersive. I've got all my ABG mix already done. I've got all my Hydroton already ready to go. I got to suspend the big Gucci Cobalt fancy light up there in the ceiling. I'm getting a special acrylic top made to take the screens out because those Exoterra tanks have the windows, the mesh screen on the top. All the humidity would just leave. But before we go, guys, was tonight's feed, did it work? Can I get a thumbs up? Everybody, did anybody notice? I didn't notice anything in the comments about lag from anybody. So was tonight good, solid, no issues, other than the weak content? Yes, you're right, Riley. That fish at OFR is the only fish that bit me. It bit my foot when I was feeding. It like grabbed my foot and it pulled me quickly. Resolution was outstanding and great audio. Evan, I am having a dirty pirate. It is a drink that I make that people that come here know what it means. It looks absolutely filthy, and that's why I call it a dirty pirate. But it's basically mango pop and dark spiced rum. Kind of half and half. Because we're pirates. That's the way we do it. So with that, my friends, I thank you very much. We'll have some fun next week. If this works, then Thank you, Sandy. I'm going to phone the internet guys, and we're going to get hooked up. And then maybe Biggs can start doing some Zoom interviews and all this other stuff that's been on his plate for a while. Thank you. Love you. Stay tuned. Ooh, we're ready for you, Jay. You ready? Better be ready, guys. Let's head over. Thanks.